I know an op when I see one. Season 2 of Severance is here, and it came early, so let's talk about it. And spoilers if you aren't up to date with Severance. Opening scene when Mark is running through the hallways is so disorienting, but also the perfect way to get us right back into the show. We immediately find out that it's been about 5 months, but it was a perfect parallel to start off just shaking in the elevator, because for Mark, it's been an instant. And honestly, I'm hoping that reflects with the audience receiving this, because even though it's been 3 years, it felt like an instant the moment I saw him zoom in on that elevator. I wonder if being creepy is in the job description of deputy manager. At this point, I think Lumen is getting sloppy with their work, because having an unsevered child employee is alarming, and it pushes the theory that upper management is just perpetually severed. I will say the casting of Miss Wong is just as perfect as everyone else on this cast. How the fuck did they find a child that's equally as creepy as Milchick? She got these beautiful big eyes that are lifeless, nothing behind them. And that line of, I need you to remember that I'm your supervisor, not your friend. Something's going on here. I'm gonna make a more in-depth video, but I remember someone saying that they think of Get Out when they think of Milchick, and I think a big part of that is definitely due to race. But seeing Miss Wong and the way that she's moving makes me feel like there's actually some validity there. Once again, I'll go more in depth in another video. That will be short, it'll be 1 or 2 minutes, but I need you to keep that in your noggin as we keep on going. Now that we're on Milchick, I couldn't get a picture of him in his turtleneck, but it's crazy that he could be so fine and we still know that something is up with him. And here is where the mystery lies. Do we think that Mark and the other Audis actually got to do that victory tour and there's reform in Lumen? Or did they just kidnap him and make that newspaper up? Redacted it just to make it seem valid? I do think it's interesting that they decided to go the sexual route with Cobell. Honestly, it is the perfect way, though, to shut down questions when it comes to people leaving. If you say, like, there's something sexual, immediately, just to be polite, people are not going to probe any further. And Mark learned from the book of Helly on sabotaging his co-workers. And I'm glad that Dylan made that offhand comment later, like, don't be sad about ending their lives, because effectively, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to get them fired, which would probably be preceded by them being sent to the break room multiple times just so he could see his homies, which is a very Helly thing to do. I really liked his new co-workers. I forgot all of their names, but this actress is from a show called Search Party, which if you haven't seen, I believe it's on Max. It's incredible. It's one of those shows that starts off one way and by the final season ends in something you can't even imagine. I am not capping. Like, by the final season, it's clear that the director and the writers were just like, what can we do? Anything? Let's do it. It's outrageous. Back to the employees. My favorite was Mark R, all the way in the corner. He reminded me of Overren and Bacher. Oh my gosh, I can't say the name correctly, but the popcorn man. I thought he was adorable, especially when he peeked his head up like this when he was talking to people. I don't know. I really liked him, and he reminded me a lot of Irving, who I was obviously missing. I'm glad that they're showing. One thing that is clear from seeing these employees is that you never lose your personality from being severed. Even though at first these seem like some new cog in the machines to replace the original 3, we see from their reaction to Mark trying to sabotage them that they also have personalities. Even Milchick, when he found this and he was like, is this in earnest? This episode was the most that I've seen Milchick break character. We see it multiple times, but my favorite was when Mark S was like, I just want my friends so I could properly serve Kier. He made his face that yelled cat. And this actor is just so incredible. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. Quick props to his barber as well, because he managed to do this cut seemingly without enhancements, and I think that's a feat. I was obviously happy to see the original team back, but something about it just felt wrong. I don't know, just bittersweet. Irving waking up in that elevator screaming, Bert. Oh my God, don't make me cry. I'm not gonna hold you. Gemma and Mark's love don't feel the same. It don't feel the same. And I feel like it's supposed to be the central love story that is driving this forward, but nobody is touching Bert and Irving. Are you kidding me? So she sits, it sounds like Bert and Ernie, and I don't know, that just makes it feel like this is something that transcends time and space. I love that they took time to show more of Irving and Dylan's relationship. Seeing Dylan fight so hard to make sure that Irving doesn't retire was very beautiful. And once again, Dylan continues to be hilarious. I love that he was tripping fighting over that belt the entire time. At the core of that, it is Milchick using physical violence to stop him, which is terrifying. I read somewhere that it was around 20 mil per episode to produce this season, and I couldn't for the life of me understand why. And then I saw this claymation film, and I was like, they're putting in extra things that require teams, and maybe that's it. They're doing a lot to fully immerse us and build this world. That being said, seeing what they did with the break room, seeing this new claymation saying like, oh, this is what's going on, just pushed me further into thinking that Lumen has not changed at all. Potentially, they've gotten worse. I do think it's very on brand for a huge corporation to say there's this huge issue and we're going to change it by giving them like pizza parties or pineapple parties and funky mirrors. Like, who wants that? I will say that I very much enjoyed that they animated Bert being radicalized. Let's talk about this raggedy hoe right here. It's crazy because I did a review on her character 2 days ago and I said she's my favorite character, and she is. Ain't no way this is Helliar. This is Helena. And you know what? Even before she started speaking, I knew it would be Helena because there's no way that she's sending Helly back. But the moment that she lied about what she saw on the outside, I was like, exactly. And then when she had that conversation where she was dirty macking with Mark, and she was like, we are so different from our Audis. That's a totally different person. That's not your wife, yada, yada, yada. How does Helena speak? This is what I mean about Lumen being sloppy, because they forget that these are people with thoughts, with memories, with connection. Mark is going to be able to clock that this is not Helly very soon. And the big reason why is because Helena does not respect the innies as people. So how is she going to be able to connect with them on the way that Helly was? Now we got to cap this off talking about this very telling final shot. There are obviously so many theories about what type of work they're actually doing in there. But this suggests that the numbers that they are organizing is potentially genetic code, and they're essentially reprogramming the minds of people that they are, I don't know, rebooting. And this is another question. How many times have the people that we've seen been severed? How many times have they been rebooted? Maybe the reason why Irving is able to have something in his conscious mind is because he's been rebooted multiple times. Remember, he's been there the longest. And he's not just painting a hallway, he's painting a hallway that goes down to the basement where they sent Miss Casey. The issue I'm having is that Audi Mark has a family. He has a connection to the outside world. So how are they recruiting new people? Are they killing them off like they did with Miss Casey? How many of these employees are people who had no lives, who they killed off, and are imprisoning them? If you remember, when Mark was on a date last season, there are people picketing and they're saying some red pill stuff. Things like they're kidnapping children, which could go back to Miss Wong, and that they're forcing people to be severed. Oh, I cannot wait to see what it is. Yeah, this premiere was everything that it needed to be. I watched it like 2 or 3 times, and every time that I did, I noticed more and more. There's just so much detailing. The way that it's directed is so great. The actors are incredible. The color palettes, I love the blues. I mean, chef's kiss. Perfection. 5 out of 5 Frankie Flames.